Hey there, it's Samantha Mo. Why do we feel so much pressure to get it right? This message is for you parents and child professionals out there who I know are constantly studying and learning and trying to do things better and better, if not for the benefit of others, maybe just to feel like you're making a positive impact. So you can tell that right now I am sitting here in Starbucks, and I had a ridiculous situation this morning. I was literally sitting here and I was going to order my caramel macchiato, and instead of going up to the register, I used the app on my phone because I wanted to use the balance that was in my account. And what happened was I accidentally placed the order for the location that's 10 minutes from here. So about 15 minutes later, I'm like, where is my coffee? I haven't heard them call my name. And I go up there and I show them the app, and I'm like, what is going on? Did I do something wrong? And they're like, yeah, your coffee's sitting at the other location. Here, let us make it for you. So obviously I hadn't ordered correctly, and they had great customer care here. So here we go, Starbucks, shout out to you. Thank you for making my drink since I did pay for it. And I'm sorry for wasting the other one. I hope the barista or somebody else enjoyed that caramel macchiato. So why am I talking about pressure today and getting things right? Well, I recently returned to Minnesota after traveling in Canada, doing a conference on applied trauma-informed care principles with my colleague and friend Travis Lloyd. And what happened was I decided to go 2 days early, knowing that it would be really fun to check out Vancouver, BC. My friend drove up from an hour south, and we had a really nice time exploring some of the restaurants. But then she was asking me, so what is your plan for the rest of your trip here? And I said, well, I have 2 days before I speak. I'm really intending on sitting down in my hotel room and going over word for word of this workshop that I've given hundreds of times. Hundreds. I've given this Mad to Glad workshop, the pillars that will change the way you interact with kids forever. For years, since 2012. So I was thinking about this sense of perfectionism, this wanting to get it right, and it boiled down to this problem that I have, and many people have, of applying too much internal pressure. So fortunately, I work with a life and business coach myself, and when we were having a conversation yesterday, she asked, where do you feel this pressure in your body? And I noticed it was in my stomach, that all of this pressure gets my stomach tied up in knots, and ultimately, even if I learn, I find myself repeating some of the same things anyway. The same things come out of my mouth. I follow the same footsteps as I do on stage all the time. And I was curious if this ever happens to you as a parent or child professional. Do you learn new things? And then when a child is escalating, they're having a meltdown, they're not cooperating, do you find yourself responding the exact same way? Yes, I get it. What if there was a way to take the pressure off? How do we actually do this when we're learning? Why are we getting stuck in these habits that create so much pressure? Well, it comes to this idea of there's things we don't know, and there's things we don't know how to think about. So, for example, when a child is having a meltdown, one of the things you might not know is that their primitive response is activated and there's a fire in the brain. Now, if you haven't studied the brain science or child development, you might not know then how to think about the situation. You might fall back into an old pattern of trying to discipline a child or trying to repeat yourself multiple times, or you just don't know how to think about it. You don't really realize that what I need to do here is calm the fire in the brain. That will take the pressure off the child. It will take the pressure off the situation. And it will allow you to get out of that automatic zone of living in a world of so that. And this is a story that I share at a lot of the workshops that I give. The world of so that is where you do something so that you can do the next thing, so that you can do the next thing. And what it looks like if you're a child professional is you get up in the morning so that you can work out, so that you can eat breakfast, so that you can go to your school day or the clinic or your private practice. And you basically manage and possibly even hoard your energy in order to make it all the way through the day. So you do all of these things so that you can do the next thing, so that you can get to the end of your day and hopefully have some fun or go into bed in order to repeat it the next day. How do we get our days right? how do we relieve the pressure and live a day using the new tools that we've learned so that we're thinking about how to be more effective and more impactful, and whether that's, again, making a difference in somebody else's life or our own lives so that we enjoy our process. The trick is really what I learned here in Starbucks this morning with my coffee, and I'll prove it to you that I had this caramel macchiato. It's gone now. And that is basically, sometimes we need to slow down and take some more time, right? We need to slow down and figure out what is it that I'm missing and who can help me connect the dots. Now, the great thing about me speaking at a conference with a colleague of mine was he was able to say to me, you know, this process of what you're doing to prepare for being on stage and for public speaking, it is a good process, but really, Samantha, I just need to remind you that it's about connecting. It's trusting that you know the right tools, and then instead of getting stuck in your habit, really just interacting in the moment and being present and connecting with people. If you've seen me speak, you see that is the primary goal that I'm hoping to accomplish, other than, of course, teaching you about fire in the brain. So if you are a child professional, how can you get some wisdom so that you're going about your day in a way where you don't feel so pressured? You're not waking up dreading the hard child that you're going to interact with. You're not going to bed at night unable to fall asleep thinking about this child and what you can do. I would love to teach you some tools that will help kids feel calmer, feel more connected, and beyond that, I actually want to teach you something that could make a really big difference in your life. See, child specialists, you're probably trained in how to work with kids. You know about tools that can calm moments of escalation. Most of us know them, even if we don't always apply them in every situation. But the missing piece is understanding, how do I communicate with parents to get them on board? When I was speaking at the Early Childhood Educators Conference here in Minnesota just a couple of days ago, we drafted a list of the things that early childhood educators are struggling with. And what they said, as I look at this list, is, you know, I really don't know talking points to help parents feel empathetic for their child's situation. They're living in a world of so that. They're going from task to task in order to get everything done, which is really important, of course. We want to make sure kids are fed and they get their homework done and they get a good chunk of sleep at night. But the educators were saying, but parents are feeding off their child's behavior. We're not sure what to say to help it sink in that there's something they can do differently in order to take some of the pressure off. So I'd love to share this process with you. It's a 5-step communication process. It comes from the parent coaching field. And the primary reason I'm sharing it is because it is the gift that has been in my life for the last 7 years now. The questions to acknowledge how parents are feeling and not judge them, but to get really curious and see what is it really that's not working. And when you can go through this 5-step process in a pretty specific order, it helps parents feel motivated to make change because they start thinking about the challenges in their everyday life differently. They start thinking about how they might be contributing to fire in the brain. And how do we know this is a good training? Well, because probably 1 out of every 4 people who have signed up for this Friday webinar, they're actually parents who have worked with me in the Mad to Glad program. So we all need help sometimes learning ways to take the pressure off, to recognize what's keeping us stuck, and to make a bigger difference in our lives and in the lives of the families, whether it's our personal family or those that we're working with. So I invite you to join me on this webinar. It's called Make a Bigger Difference: What to Say to Get Parents on Board. It's this Friday over the lunch hour here in Central Time Zone. You go to madtoglad.com/webinar-training. And if you're not able to make it live, sign up anyways. We'll send you the replay because I know we all live in this world of so that where lives are very, very busy. Now, I just want to give a shout out to those of us in the world, or those of you rather in the world, who are reaching out and making a bigger difference. And whether that's because you're a child professional working with kids and families, or you are a parent learning and growing, you're in a growth mindset, rather a fixed mindset, or some of those of you in the service industry who are creating really good experience. Remember that what you do matters. And I look forward to connecting with you this Friday on the webinar at noon Central.